name is Loretta Shartsis, and I was born here in America, but at the present time I live in India. I live in an international city called Auroville, which was founded by the mother of the Sri Aurbindo ashram. And I went there in 1972 for the first time. I was one of about the first 100 people in the city. And so I was one of the pioneers that started the city when it was just a big, empty, wide, red desert. Auroville is perhaps a basic model of community. From that very small nucleus in the ashram, growing out to the school, the Sri Aurobindo International Center of Education, the international city of Auroville, that consciousness itself is blossoming everywhere. Important thing about the world today and where people are is that everybody is seeking. Somehow, on some level, there is now this tremendous hunger for growth and for progress, and it shows itself in the influx into our culture, into so many places, everything from other cultures that has to do with spiritual pathways and spiritual progress. And of course, that was the reason for Auroville. It was for that, and people come there and everyone's affected by it. Everyone knows it, everyone feels it. And I'm doing this lecture tour. I've been touring for about a month, and I'm astounded at the response about how many people and how deeply they want to progress, they want to learn, they want to grow. The pathway of growth is everybody's own pathway, because everyone is in a different place. And you can't do someone else's yoga for them. I mean, another way to say that is you can't change another person, but you can't even actually tell another person, because that's all kind of listed in their soul, what they need to do. But it's all out there to find out. There's hundreds of guideposts and hundreds of ways that people find what's the next thing to do. I give you specific things from my own journey, but I think it has to start a little earlier than Auroville, because it's actually taken me a long time to understand how very little I've ever really related to what most people consider to be the normal world. And that non-relationship, that kind of wild seeking, which for me was pretty much all my life, landed me eventually on the shores of India. And at that point, up to that point, there was no religion. I had no training, wasn't brought to church, never went to a temple, never read the Bible. I had no interest in those things. And I hit the shores of India, and I heard about personal progress. And that just caught me, and I ran for personal progress. And in the Indian culture, personal progress means the traditional Indian yogas. And so for 3 years I lived in the jungles in the north of India, near the bank of the Ganges River, following everything I could find about personal progress and yogic practice and everything. And I had come to India for 6 weeks, and I forgot about America. I was drawn so totally. And I think it's that drawing, it's that same force that everyone is drawn by. Some people more than others. I think the youth today they're born knowing the things that our older generation actually worked to realize. And they're not only seeking, they've also arrived in some places. And from those places, they continue to seek. I spent 3 years in the jungles. I turned into an Indian. I put on the white sari of a spiritual seeker, and I served the gurus, and I picked up the Hindi language. And then I was on my way back to America. my family wanted me to come back, and I had never traveled because in the Indian spiritual tradition, you serve the guru, you don't go anywhere, you stay and you work on yourself. So I started to travel, and I was on the coast of India below Bombay, and I had an experience. And I had the experience that living in this body, I didn't have to die. It was a palpable experience of immortality. And I learned later on the actual where that comes from. And it comes from when your immortal soul, which carries you through life to life, when that's more in the forefront of your individual consciousness, you get these senses of immortality. So I got very excited. I went running around telling everybody I knew, and strangers too, listen, you don't have to die. You can live forever in this body. You don't have to deteriorate. And I was incontrollable. And somebody said to me, there's a lady called the Mother of the Sri Aurbindo ashram who's doing this work. So I was staying in an ashram with a good library, and I went to the library and I found one of her books. And by that time, I had so many spiritual questions, so many unanswered questions. And I read the Mother's book. It was called Words of Long Ago. And all my questions were answered. And I thought, I have to go see this Mother, this person. Mother loved me so much, and she loved me more than anyone ever loved me. You could feel it in my whole life. And I just gave myself to her. And from that time, I started trying to follow and understand her and what she was teaching. Do you know, the earth is made of the dust of the stars because we're formed from the dust of nebulae. And we are made of the dust of the earth. There just isn't anything anywhere that does not come from the earth. And we are as well the earth's aspirations for growth, because man is the crest of the wave of development. You could say the crest of the wave of God in evolution, in development, in progress. And the earth is healing itself through the consciousness that is rising now in people. So we are all beginning to learn, a little bit about what to do. Women are equipped for great capacities. And so when they take those very great capacities and they go back within to find their source, I think they must come back out with many more capacities. That brings up this question, is there a shift in consciousness? How do you make the shift in consciousness? And I think there's not one shift in consciousness. I think there are constant shifts in consciousness. And the more we are comfortable and the more we are able to, let's just go back, the more we're able to realize the earth, to be one with the earth, to realize this earth, to understand that we are here to serve the earth in all ways around us and to serve ourselves, to serve the earth and our children, to serve the earth in everything we do, to serve the earth in the person sitting next to us, the more easily those shifts just become a kind of a flow. There is a one word key that comes from the Mother. Somebody asked her once, can you give us one word that will do everything? And she said, yes, I can. She said, that word is sincerity. Just sincerity. And when you try to be sincere, and when you succeed in being sincere, everything shifts.
Believe we can make it through. nothing more to do. The angels take the form of you.